Call to order at 5:12.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from
second.
Last month.
Are there any discussions, any issues with the minutes? Do I hear a vote to approve?
Approve. Aye.
Aye. Second?
Aye. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Minutes pass. Public comment? There's no public participating. So our budget is basically exactly as it was the previous year. We also significantly underspent our budget last year. We had roughly $8,000 left in contracted steward funds, primarily because we went such a long period without a steward where Peter wasn't working, and prior to that when he was in Florida. And I asked to carry those funds over. They have not reviewed any of those requests yet. We met with Tim on Friday, and Tim says, "What would you use it for?" I said, "Well, one of the things we'd like to use it for is to put a fence up at Horseneck Creek Landing." And he says, "Okay, that's good." So he said, "I'll look at it."
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful we'll get that portion of it here, which is a big chunk of change.
Well, I've also got some ideas, and Andrea and I briefly talked about it, which is what to do about the oak.
Okay, we will get to that.
And benches I can add to be discussed later.
What's that?
Benches.
Yes. Yep.
And signage, which I'll discuss later because it's on there. So
Lots of ways to spend money.
And that's basically all I have to say about the budget. We'll get into Ann's budget later too. The one thing it does, the one thing that's not included on here, and I did not add that on there, is we got all the special monies requested for Ferry Landing that we asked for. So we have sufficient funds to do our Phragmites eradication program, and thus far this year we've asked Pond Lake to apply to DEEP for a permit, and also do the database diversity review, and we'll talk about that.
do they do database diversity?
Yes.
Pond Lake will do that. I guess they do an initial pass, and if it looks okay, DEEP can approve it as is. If DEEP says they want more, then we have to do more, which would be an additional expense, I understand.
I was just thinking for other properties that we need the database diversity, we might ask them.
They could do that.
Could
Yeah.
certainly consider it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that'd be, and it's Pond and Lake? What the name of the company?
Yeah.
Pond and Lake Connection, I believe, is their cover.
Apparently, moving on to land sewer report, apparently Peter's feeling better. You've hiked with him, Amanda?
Yes, and I'm hiking with him tomorrow. We're trying to hike together 2 times a week.
Oh, nice.
So,
How's he doing?
fine. We did McCulloch, and I just want to bring up an interesting point on McCulloch. You know that the land trust has recolored their trail. It used to be, I think, yellow, and now it's blue. But when you come to the trail where it's a T intersection, the blue sign, trail marker, only goes to the left. Our trail goes to the right, and it's missing. And I can see it farther on. That's the only way it connects to our red trail. And if you go to the blue, to the left, it goes to Bayberry Ridge. So it's very confusing at that point. And we may need to correct our maps because they've changed the color of their trail. So just to give you a heads up.
McCulloch with Peter?
Which is very flat, which is why we chose that one, because
Yeah.
it was his first time trying out. And tomorrow we're walking. You're welcome to join us in about 9:30. We're meeting at Meeting House, and then we'll probably walk Champlain North on Thursday. We're trying to meet like 9:30 Tuesday and Thursday.
And he seems to be doing okay?
Yeah, so far.
To be able to do any if he finds something down, is he at the level where he can do any repairs, or he's just walking and?
Well, so far, we're walking, we pick up stuff. We
So-
found, we were on the land trust land, we found several trees down. And,
Oh.
and I said, I'll call Wayne, and I said, wait a second, this isn't our property. And we had an incident once before where Wayne removed off theirs, and they weren't happy, so we don't.
So is Wayne not walking McCulloch,
He goes,
checking it?
yeah, and then we stopped by and saw Jim Mildrum, and then and he's home from the hospital. He had a heart attack, and he's fine.
Well, he had a heart attack?
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
doing well. So I had ladies' night Friday night, so we took him over tons of barbecue chicken and potato salad and baked beans
Oh,
and
nice.
key lime pie, and I made brownies. And he may need rides. So I said, Peter and I both said we'd be glad to help. But so I think he's basically out of it. Although Tevis has him doing stuff on his property, but.
And Tevis is paying Mike, I hope, right?
Pardon?
Tevis is paying him to do stuff, or?
Oh, yeah. Tevis is,
Is Tevis using the field at all, do you know?
I didn't see any indication, but I don't know.
No footprints, no poop.
No poop. So far, so good. And what else was I going to say? Oh, I just was going to tell Fred I checked his tree, and it would look good.
Oh, yeah. The one that he and I
Yeah, that you
planted,
guys planted, yeah.
Fred-
And Wayne did some mowing there.
So we went on to land steward, but I think we were supposed to talk about member recruitment.
What's that?
That's, if we go by the agenda,
Yeah,
so
am I out of order?
I think.
Yes, you're out of order.
I don't mean
Because
to
I
be
went by-
picky,
I
but
went-
I'm like the
I
keeper of
downloaded,
things.
and this is the order I had.
Oh,
I had
okay.
never
Maybe I'm
looked
looking
at
at an
the land
older
steward
version.
report.
Okay,
I don't have land steward report. I have open space and member recruitment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So are you sharing your agenda with me?
Free range discussion.
Anyway, so I think tomorrow will be a better test because Meeting House has more relations.
Well, I
Yeah.
could probably join you, just
Okay,
hike around and,
yeah, it's 9:30, it's early enough. We usually go about an hour.
yeah, okay.
And so, yeah, so anybody that wants to join us.
I need to call Wayne and talk to him. Do you have any sense if he's still interested in continuing as a steward?
He's still working, and I told him, reminded him about Ann's kiosk, and he said, yeah, he's,
Let's get into that later. 'cause
Okay.
apparently it's not on the agenda. So member recruitment. I'm going to try to put something up on the website, maybe have something at our table at Midsummer.
That's a good idea.
Clearly, with our difficulty in getting a quorum here and the fact that we're 3 down and we have a lot of work to do, I think it's really important that we try to get some new members on. And I think we would have had 3 fabulous members among our stewards. Unfortunately, none of our stewards that interviewed for us live in town. I'll mention them a little bit later. But if any of you know someone that wants to participate, I mean, it would be great to have someone with some real estate experience, some land use experience, some stewardship experience. But at this point, bodies are important too.
Yeah, okay.
Someone that's going to be conscientious and attend the meetings and be willing to do some volunteer work.
I would think the sign-up poster is where we got Peter. So we usually have a clipboard and a sign-up, so it could be for membership, if it be for stewardship. I don't see stewardship on here. Did you? And it was on the last one. Were you successful? Oh, okay. Okay.
Personnel issue, actually.
Okay.
At the Midsummer Festival, we can have some information about the open space, and if you have a write-up, that could be a venue for getting people to sign up and expressing their interest or attending a meeting. I think I mentioned to you that I'd be willing to go to the farmer's market at Tiffany Farms. Even though it's in Lyme, you get people from Olyme attending all the time. It's not that territorial. And it's, I'd have to probably speak with Jennifer Tiffany, but just to have a little table and a tent and T-shirts,
Take a hike, T-shirts.
take or hike T-shirts, and just speak of what we do. If we have a map of our properties, to post that, and be able to speak specifically to what people can do and what backgrounds they may be able to bring without just taking anybody. But I think those who approach it will have some sense of interest and familiarity with the program.
We usually did have something at midsummer and tried to recruit, at that. So that's always a good one.
Yes, definitely at the midsummer, but also I'm
Yeah, no, at
looking-
Tiffany.
We can find a now hiring sign and put it out there.
A few good women. Yeah, no, I think,
So, yeah, I'll try to get something for our table, and then try to put something together.
we may have something downstairs already. The clipboards and all that, or if you check.
Hawkins Road. So Tim sent a letter out to all the neighbors. We didn't hear from one. Surprisingly, no one complained about us planning to take out their private launch.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody owned up to having built a launch.
Did they take their kayaks away?
Oh, the Hawkins one.
Oh, yeah.
Actual boats there?
Yeah, there might,
Did they come and get their boats?
Yeah, well, somebody had kayaks down at Pilgrim's Landing, and Harbor Management
Right.
was advertising for months, clear them out or we're
Right.
going to lose them. In any event, Tim talked to Public Works. They're going to pull out all the land-based stuff, and then the issue is, what are we going to do with the?
Is there a
the
floating
dock
dock?
itself?
floating.
There's two pipes holding it in place and ropes coming onto the ground that are onto some stakes.
Yeah.
If we can get it loose, Tim was talking about a Zodiac that might go to the state boat launch.
Oh, okay.
Take it apart there.
Yeah. That would be helpful.
Shouldn't, at a certain point, does Harbor Management have equipment like that, or
I don't know what they do.
I have no idea.
state might? I mean, it's... so-
Did you get the survey of Hawkins Road?
Yes.
Do you have a copy so we could review it?
I didn't have a copy with me.
Oh, okay. I'd like to, and are you thinking about putting a fence or a sign up there?
Thinking about putting a sign up, so I shared a draft sign with all of you in the materials I just gave you. I saw that you and Andrew Roden, that you responded to Andrea at the time. So.
Well, I had a thought, but it goes to more than Hawkins Road, and so I don't know if you want to talk about it now or under property signs.
I think, yeah, we'll get into signs a little bit. I don't want to just stick to Hawkins now, if we may.
Okay.
Any thoughts?
Sorry, did you send a
Yeah,
version
no, I
of
handed
it?
it.
Oh, you just handed it.
Sign.
It may not be in the right order.
Sign's very straightforward. It's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to use the word refuge. I was going to have wildlife, but I mean,
I like that.
There's certainly flora growing there. A lot of people say, I don't see anything there, but this is kind of a more general.
Yeah.
That, probably.
So, I mean,
Wildlife covers pretty much all the animals, the wild animals that are not, or all animals that are domestic animals. So, fiddler crabs are wildlife too. So,
Crabs have rights.
that looks okay to all.
yeah.
I love coastal refuge.
Yeah, I like that.
Great.
File of things to talk to, who's it, the company?
Chris DeBoer.
Yeah.
Is that the one over in Centerbrook?
Yes.
Yeah, he did very nice. I like it.
Great.
So we'll revisit this for signs with dimensions.
I hadn't really thought about dimensions, whatever they feel would be appropriate to include all that language at a readable size, that we could screw into a post that we can put in the ground.
Sure, it's a 4x4 post would be fine.
Do we need to vote on the language and say, yes, this is what we want? Or
I move that we approve the sign as written.
a second?
Third, I mean, yay.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Will be a little bit more informal than asking for discussion and stuff.
Okay.
And it's up to you have the floor, I guess.
All right, okay.
So do we know when Public Works is going to be taking the material out?
I told him that we have a response in 6 weeks. We should be in this month. That's going to be about it. I think that, we're not going to hold us to the date, but I think we should definitely have that done in a couple of weeks. Huh?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Did you check with Ed in Public Works?
I have not dealt with Ed. Tim has talked to him and asked him to do it and got his consent. Tim has been really helpful with that.
Okay, so Ferry Landing continues to make leaps and bounds. I did send out an update prior to the originally scheduled meeting, so if you're interested in details, I would refer you to my update, so in the interest of saving time. If anyone read them and has a question, please let me know. But I did a couple of updates since that update. So an update to my update is that we worked on, Greg and I worked on an article for the Events magazine, and that has gone to Katie Walker, along with a photograph, which maybe I'll just send out to everybody for fun. So that will be, I guess that comes out in September. Mm-hmm. And if anyone's interested in the article, I have a copy of it. I can pass it around. Greg likes my title. You want to share the title, Andrea?
All lines, open space lands benefit all residents, human, furry, and feathered. Very good.
So there was that, and the midsummer materials that Nick has prepared I'd love to get some feedback on, and unfortunately it's a tight turnaround, but he's going to do a poster board presentation, like a trifold actually, on The Tree of Heaven is Not So Heavenly. And it explains why why the Tree of Heaven is a problem, and how do you identify it, and then why dead trees are important. So we can I can email that out to you. Obviously it'd be great to get.
The Tree of Heaven is a breed.
Yes, Ailanthus. I don't know what it's, Occidentalis or something. I don't know. Ailanthus altissima. And any correction to any scientific information in there. Mike, Evan, anybody else with botanical chops, please weigh in.
Fred, I would think would be good.
Unfortunately, I think Fred is out of the country, so we won't.
Fred is in Germany,
Yeah.
Switzerland.
Okay. For him. And the other thing that Nick put together is a little ID sheet for folks. Native plants, just 2 examples on one side, and invasive plants on the other. And we're going to make a bunch of copies, have that on the table.
Yeah.
So again, if there's any egregious errors, please, now is the time before we make 100 copies.
Actually, color.
Yeah. If you wanted to send the
Yeah, I will.
text out to us.
I just literally got them from him about a half an hour ago, so I didn't have time to send them out.
Were you going to print these in-house, or?
I will.
Okay.
Yep. And I asked Michelle about how to do that, and I got the
Michelle
code.
or Katie can help you. You'll have to punch in our code for the colors.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, I got the alarm code, and
Oh, good.
so I'll lock up when we go. So Nick is basically caring for the plants that we put in and continuing to work when he gets a buddy to do more girdling. of the ailanthus trees and of weeds and, well, you know, other invasives and vines and things around the ailanthus that we're getting rid of. He's also obviously documenting both the conditions of the good plants as well as, you know, identifying any new invasives that we haven't come across yet.
Yeah.
I can also try to send out the video of the muskrats. I think did I send that?
You did, yeah.
Okay.
Is that what it was, muskrat?
Yeah, I think it was a muskrat because when beavers swim with their feet,
Uh-huh.
and muskrats swim with their feet and their tail. They
Ah.
have the beaver tail is flat, horizontal. The muskrat tail is more vertical.
Oh.
So it wiggles it back and forth, and it was hard to see.
It was. He was pretty far away, but
It was
I caught it.
interesting, though. It was, yeah.
Three of them.
I know. It was
But
like, wow.
I was thinking about now, what's more likely to be in the pond, and it was a muskrat.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't seen evidence of any other beaver activity.
If there were beavers, would there be a lodge?
There probably would
Right.
be a lodge. I mean, if there was a family of beavers, certainly, yeah.
Right.
Generally, you don't find you don't find single beavers occupying a pond, just unless it's a newly arrived, very young beaver that's been thrown out somewhere else.
Speaking of beavers, on Jimmy's Pond,
Yeah,
which is covered with water lilies,
yeah,
there's evidence of beaver.
yeah.
That cage is submerged now.
Oh,
But the water is flowing through.
oh, good.
And the same over on Bartholomew.
Yeah, no, I go by Bartholomew every once in a while just to check and see how it's doing. It seems to be working, whatever's.
Yes, and the beaver activity, so when you're on those boards, keep preparing, you look up, and the trees are just disappearing rapidly.
Vine forest and the great
Well, there may be some beech
vines
trees
are very similar to,
that are losing their leaves because of beech.
because when we've done our work,
Oh, I think it's
we
beaver.
have someone
Whole section.
it's grapevine, vine down when they shouldn't.
Right. Right.
That might be another one to get,
Right.
like good and
they're
bad.
destructive, even though they're native. So, you know, there is a case to be made for at least trying to make sure they don't engulf a good tree, for example. So, update on the grant that we received last year. To date, the remaining uncommitted funds are $4,284.56. That includes 2 paychecks that Nick has yet to get, and I need your authorization on them, as well as some expenses that I put in for.
How much, 4,000?
$4,284.56.
What was the figure that Tracy gave it to? That's what was spent?
Which doesn't include, like I said, 2 paychecks from Nick and some of my expenses. So,
And did they tell you at a certain time they're looking for an estimate when we might?
well, so that's, you know, they've said, please let us know, you know, when you believe you'll finish your project so we can set that as the deadline for your final report. And of course, this is, you know, we're not going to finish the project, but it's basically for their purposes, how long is it going to take us to spend the $4,000? And, you know, if we could, for example, pay for the NDD invoice that comes in from CML, that would be great. We can also pay for some...
I'd rather pay that out of our budget.
Okay. We could also pay
However.
for video editing,
Yeah.
or, because we're going to be losing a good chunk of Nick's time over the next month or so, and then he'll be back in school, which also reduces. I would love to hire a land steward to do some.
Yes, I was going to say that I would hope that we will hire a land steward fairly soon. There's a couple of details to work out.
Okay.
And that person could work with you. If we could work it out where he or she could be paid from your budget, that would be great.
That would be terrific. It won't take long, probably, to spend that down. I would say we're probably going to spend, best case scenario, another $1,000 on Nick, probably more like $800. And, there's really no other looming expenses other than getting that kiosk put in. And
What is Nick getting paid?
he's $18 now.
Okay. So we would pay our steward $30, is what we've been advertising, so I think it shouldn't mind the discrepancy if we're hiring an experienced person.
With the
Does he have a liability policy?
Nick? No, he's not doing anything except with Clippers. So, he's a college student. He doesn't have a liability policy. He barely has a laptop. Poor kid. Anyway, so that's the status of the grant, and we need, as soon as I know for sure that I could get X number of hours out of a steward, I can calculate by when I think, and that person's availability, then I could calculate a date for them, and they are kind of hoping to get a date.
The one thing about the steward or working with Nick that I wanted to mention, and I know that we're trying to do the best we can, but we are constrained by the number of people we have, and we're constrained by the time that the people we have.
That's right.
So when we have to double up to have someone work with
That's
Nick,
right,
that
yeah.
takes away from our other projects.
It does, yeah, 100%.
If we could get a steward to work with him or work on there.
That would be ideal.
Yeah.
That would be terrific. So I think we mentioned that the Pond and Lake deep application process is underway. We're still waiting to hear back about the NDDB, which apparently is, just the wheels of deep turn slowly. Nick, not our intern, but my contact at Pond and Lake, is, still hopeful that we'll be able to get it all together and have a green light in time to do the fall spray.
I'm sorry, what is the N something?
Natural Diversity Database, the NDDB.
Okay.
Essentially, you have to check if there's any endangered species on there, and then Steve would make a judgment that whether or not what you're going to do is put them at further risk.
The funny thing about the NDDB is that they will tell you, yes, there is an endangered species, and no, you can't spray, but we're not going to tell you what it is.
Oh, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Because they
That's for protecting them as well?
Yeah, protection of the species, because some of these endangered animals are endangered because of people collecting them.
Oh, my word.
Like Muhlenberg's bog turtle, which is up in the northwestern part of the state. But, people from all over the world want a Muhlenberg's bog turtle in their aquarium.
Wouldn't you?
Of course.
I'd rather have a gopher tortoise. But anyway, whatever.
Well, yeah, we're just hopeful that they come back with a benign finding, because if we have to do a whole evaluation, because the next step for that would be to do a full analysis or whatever,
And how thorough is
I think we could
the
use our
database
window
in
that way.
evaluating this pond? I mean, who?
Well, when the database was set up sometime, probably in the 70s, there was a book that came out about endangered species, put out by the state DEP people, when DEP actually hired PhDs, and there was two fellows, Dallin and Craig, who did this marvelous compendium of endangered species in Connecticut, and they knew where they were, and so they did these maps with what we call blobs on it, and inside the blob is a potential, either actual or potential habitat for rare and endangered species.
So none of these groups that do this report will tell you what that rare or endangered
No,
species.
they won't tell you what it is. They just say, yes,
So then, if someone's contesting that, can they say, well, it's not of consequence? I mean, does that, it just seems to support the whole purpose of it, is if you had this report that says you have endangered
Species on your property.
then someone could say, well, you haven't identified them, and so we don't know what they are, so we're just going to go ahead and do whatever we're going to do.
Yeah, well.
I mean, I'm just curious, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know all of the
Ins and outs?
ins and outs of it.
Yeah, huh.
I think we just have to trust that DEEP does its job. Its job is to protect the environment.
Yeah.
I would say, Andrea, if you're interested, there is a description of exactly what DEEP wants in terms of its permit and in terms of its NDDB analysis on their website. And I looked at it, and after about 3 minutes, I said, wow, this is way beyond anything we're going to want to do ourselves.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
it's pretty complicated.
But I've also heard, since DEEP's had so many people retire, that there's nobody on staff.
Why it's so
DEEP is
slow.
also hiring at a pretty fast rate. They're scooping up people from all the nonprofits. Eric Hammerling went from Forest Park to a head at DEEP. So DEEP, they are filling positions. They got to go ahead to fill positions, so I think they're going to catch up.
That was quite a catch for them.
It was. That's
Yeah.
probably, I'm sure he's probably paid more than he was getting for Forest Park.
Yeah, and
That's all
And
they
he doesn't have to worry about raising money out of it.
well, exactly, and probably the hours are a little better too.
Yeah.
I mean, having run a nonprofit, you're on call pretty much. Come and talk to our garden club.
Yeah.
And I said, dinner at 7 and talk at 8.
Well,
in Salisbury.
His interim successor is Claire Kane, who lives in town.
Right.
I recruited for open space, and she was really close. She just says, too much like what I'm doing. And she said, at this point, I don't want to work for free.
Oh.
I'm doing exactly what I'm doing from 9 to 5, so to speak.
Just to wrap up quickly, is the IT storage stuff elsewhere, or are we just talking about it primarily in terms of we're trying to solve the file storage issue for the video footage that we're collecting at Ferry Landing, and that also leads to working out how to get that material to a video editor. Alex Ross seems to be the best candidate, him or his partner, and it'd be great to get it done sooner than later, but they're going back to college right now, and just transferring the files, having time
If you ask him,
collect them.
he could probably guide you as to what would be good.
There are methods to transfer large files, because I was doing that for Gateway. We were bouncing files around to a consultant. They were like multi-gigabyte files. So there's programs you can use that for. This whole system, though, of the town IT system and cloud storage and everything, it's just been monstrously frustrating for me. Did I share Tom Myers' memo? I've asked him a couple times, and he finally sent me a long memo basically saying why he couldn't do it. And we had put in $2,500 for document storage in our current budget, $500 which was for filing cabinet, and $2,000 was for our share of the cloud storage system. We got the filing cabinet approved. The $2,000 was not approved, and I was told by David Kelsey and Kim Thompson that they are well aware of the issue. There's been multiple boards and commissions that have talked to them about it, and they want to do something, as I hope they would, on a board-wide basis, not just for one unit. So,
They approved it the year before.
what's that?
They approved it the year before, the $2,500 for the
Well,
to
that was supposedly we were going to go off our own. We probably should have just did our own thing, but when you start to do that, price goes up pretty steeply depending on how many users you have. It's like $16 a month, and you add all of us to give all of us access to that. You're well over like 150. You're talking well over the 2,000, maybe 150, 175 a month to have 7 users.
No, I know, but we're also probably in violation of FOI with all these documents.
We're not in violation of FOI unless we don't produce the documents.
Well,
But I'm well
there are a lot of
aware-
documents we can't produce, so,
I have told them on multiple occasions.
I know, it's,
They know.
I know, they know. It's pretty sad.
It
So
is.
meanwhile, you're concerned about taking a zip drive or the SIM card in this thing that you gave me back to give to Alex because of it, or anybody?
It wouldn't be an SD card. It would just, the only way to really, because the SD cards are, like we were talking about, that when the camera takes an image, it takes actually 3 separate files, and one of them is completely unusable as far as I can tell. One of them is a still image and one of them is a video file. So it's just the video files that we need, and that's all we've been like collecting from the SD cards, and we have them on 2 separate jump drives, which, you know, I could just give him one of the jump drives, or I could upload all of what's on the jump drive onto my computer and then upload it onto another jump drive and then erase it from my computer, because my computer keeps telling me I have no storage left. But you see, it just kind of makes my head explode after a while. And then the grant thing happened, so that just like, you know.
Andrea, did you save your, the beaver and wildlife ones?
Oh yeah, we still have them.
Where are those?
Some of them
They're on a jump drive now.
on the website, but that has a glitch in its URL transferring, and then otherwise I have them on jump drives.
So could we just do Google storage, or, you know, get storage and put it on somewhere out there until the finance?
That's what would be great.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, until the finance department decides what they're going to do with all these boards.
So Google has its own issues, and I guess maybe that's really...
Maybe the thing to do is just set up a temporary account with some grant funds, and then cancel it when the grants expire.
That's actually a good idea.
Put the stuff up there from the time being, and give Alex permission.
So then I have to go through how to pay for it, which involves getting either the credit card, you know, number from Tracy, because, you know.
Let me look to see if what Amazon offers for stores. Because did Kelly say we have an Amazon account now we can bill to?
That sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Just be nice to all these documents were created while they're not the permanent storage. It'd be nice, as you said, to put them somewhere so you're not maxing out yours.
Right.
And then when they figure out what they're going to do, then we could just transfer them.
Right.
But after a while, the problem is that they're in everybody's houses and they're all scattered, and then,
And God forbid we lose the jump drive, you know.
yeah, or something happens, and then,
Yeah. So that's why, you know, I'm reluctant to just hand somebody a hard copy of it, basically. But anyway, the hope is that there will be a way to get Alex and his partner these files, and at that point we'll need a narrator.
Evan,
And
you've got that one.
although I guess Alex or his partner did some of the narration for some of the videos that were produced previously.
No, Riley Bear did it himself.
So
But it was
is
Evan's
he
writing.
Alex's partner?
No,
Oh, okay.
different. I think Alex's partner's name's Sam, but I'm not sure.
So was I talking to Alex or Riley?
You were talking to Alex.
Okay, all right. So just another person altogether was doing
Yes.
the video, the
Let
narration.
me look again at storage options again.
And what I did was to write out a script,
Okay,
and then
Riley.
Riley.
I see.
He was a film student at Pace. And so he had all the equipment, it was in his wheelhouse, and Evan wrote it out and he did the recording and put on the music.
Great.
When Alex did it, we recorded Evan live.
Yeah. Well, what I'd like to do is, I have to revisit some of the more recent footage because I was the one collecting the footage for a while, so I was actually looking at it as I was saving it. But it's like the entire month of June and July now that I haven't actually had a chance to review.
Yeah.
So based on what we have, I might actually ask for some input about, you're not going to use it all. So what would seem to be the most interesting or helpful to convey some message that we want to convey? Bobcats come to mind because of the recent, interaction with the rabid one up in.
I saw that. Yeah, they might get some negative reactions.
Right.
I think that the muskrat swimming was the best thing. So, I mean, and
We can certainly throw that in there.
Sure.
I thought that was great.
It's an iPhone footage, so it's, crazy good, but it's fine.
Oh, it's fun.
What about that
How about what
footage
is
that Fred got beaver at Brooks Meadow?
Oh, yeah, that's another one. Yeah, that's
It'll
another
have to be Fairy Landing.
Yeah. Be nice to have the two and say, what is it?
Yeah.
Beaver, and then, just kind of like your invasive versus native. Yeah, I thought those were great. Yeah.
So the only other thing on my list is talking about signs, which we're going to cover later. The only thing is that I would say that for the kiosk at Ferry Landing, I would like to have it be something we update. And right now I've created an FAQ on wildlife refuges that I'm going to have at Midsummer. So some of that material can go into the kiosk right away.
That'd be great.
Do you have any thoughts on when you'd like to see us? And we did.
Yesterday?
Well, I mean, have you talked to Wayne?
Is it going to be a glass?
We'll move on to that.
Let's move on to that.
I would like to talk to him, but the last few times I've tried to reach him, I didn't hear back, so.
Well, I'd like to get it out of my garage.
Yeah. I would like that. Oh, but one last pitch for getting things out of garages. I have a big roll of fencing, which at the time we were talking about using it.
I can take it back and put it in my barn.
Okay.
I have a big roll of fencing too.
Yeah.
Because I donated that, and
No, this is a brand new one I bought. I bought it for Ferry Landing, and we used up
I see, okay.
whatever either you or
so I think I gave a still wrapped in plastic.
We used that.
Used that up.
Yeah. So what I have is all fresh and new and unopened.
And I have some leftover tools. Did you
Not right
purchase
now.
some big,
I didn't purchase them, but I have some.
I have some, good, I think I have them, because I separated my barn's looking pretty good, except for a few things, so I would,
So I don't know that we ever protected the baby oaks. And that's one thing I'd like to use under the barber's on. That's one thing I'd use.
That, and did we ever protect the ants?
Not yet.
Okay.
But we never decided about the fence. So.
Well,
Let's talk about that right now. That's a
Okay.
new subject. So, we've gone around and around about fences and types of fences and how much fence to put up and whatever. And I talked to Rich Cody about how much would a fence protect us in terms of
liability.
someone being under the tree and having a branch fall on them. And he said, basically, not much, unless you had the fence ring the tree completely and the fence basically being difficult to climb over. He says, you put a 180-degree fence, it's going to look nice, but it's cosmetic. It's not going to give you any legal benefit. And so then he said, well, why don't you take the tree down? And I said, no, I don't think that's what we're going to do. And he says, well, do you have other dead trees that you leave in place? Yes, we do. And it's not our policy to go through and take another dead tree in all our properties.
Yeah.
So we went round and round. So we are protected by that statutory liability.
Right.
And the best thing to do is probably put up a warning sign and say, don't walk under the tree, essentially. And
Well, my compromise with Rich was, which I think is not ideal, but no compromise is, because I would like to leave the tree and let it decompose on its own, but given that it's the town land and that there is some liability, I think that we ought to spend some money and have Bartlett or whoever we can get, Wilcox, to basically delimb the tree, drop the limbs, which are already, a lot of the stuff has fallen down anyway, because it's been dead for a couple of years. But just delimb the tree, drop the limbs on the ground, let them stay there, rot, have the new trees growing up,
around the new baby.
and then leave the trunk, the stem, snag for the woodpeckers and all the other millions of critters that inhabit those
how
things.
aggressively would you cut back the main branches? Would you come back right to the main trunk?
Oh, right to the main trunk, yeah.
Section?
I wouldn't, there's some pretty nice twists. I would definitely take it down over the trail.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
but,
I think that's the minimum.
but you have some nice,
Dead branches are over the existing trail. I think it's the minimum to take those down.
but I like some of the twists. I wouldn't, are you talking like we did the other trees and we just topped them? And there's just the trunk left?
Yeah, just the trunk.
Oh, I would leave some of the twists.
Because if, to Rich's point, if someone's walking around under the tree and, in a rainstorm or...
Well, people don't generally walk under the tree, and if you I would tend to agree with Amanda to just bring it back.
Yeah, cut it back.
As least as you can, and then you could take the dead branches and kind of put it around it, so it creates a little
bit of a barrier.
A little barrier, and then you've got the baby trees.
And then maybe put a sign up.
And then we have our sign, please stand back.
Yeah.
Please stand back, you put it, so, and people, when they walk on that trail, they generally take off left, and then they come around to the right, and...
There's a balance between being absolutely safe, which involves taking the whole tree down.
Yeah.
And something, kind of the aesthetics of it, and we put a bench there to look at it, and we bought a sign there to talk about it, I'd like to, I kind of lean towards Andrea and Amanda to leave it looking somewhat like a tree rather than just a telephone pole.
Yeah.
We could have, Jason Wilcox for years did our work, and whenever he's over at my house, he's always saying, we love open space, and I don't know, we can get some bids, but maybe have him come over sometime, have a little site walk, and then ask, what he thinks and get some prices, because it's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
You're talking like $4,000 or $5,000 to do that.
Right, I was just going to say, that's not going to be cheap.
No, all of this, between the fence and all of it is...
The thought that I had is, it is going to be expensive, and I'd like to have Jason give us a quote. I'd like to have Bartlett give us a quote too, because they
Oh, that's right, they
treated the tree
did, yeah.
And maybe Yankee was also in town.
Mhm.
The thought that I have is, how easily are they going to be able to get a crane in there without, probably need to go in there or something when the ground is about as dry as it
Well, I
can
was
be.
just thinking of
They have guys that climb.
if you had a climber,
Yeah.
you've got to,
Somebody can go up there and
just cut them and drop them and leave them and let them rot where they fall.
But it may not be safe for someone to climb up there. That's the only thing I'm thinking. If it's all dead, they're on dead and it breaks while they're
Yeah,
trying to.
well, it's-
I think they got to look at it and
Yeah.
tell us.
But it is oak,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's harder than most trees.
I don't know,
And
let's
I've
call the professionals.
done some climbing myself.
Really?
Way back.
I think getting a good 2 or 3 quotes, and you've got, everyone has some vested interest being here locally, and, they might offer some, well, it will cost you this, but I'll do it for that.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
But they're usually pretty, Bartlett was I forgot Bartlett came and
We
treated
can
the
give
tree.
them some publicity too, we can maybe have,
Well, but write an article on
we
it.
can certainly, Olin would certainly run some line, do some pictures, hey, we're trying to protect the public, and
Sure.
Jason Wilcox worked with Open Space to make the tree as safe as it can be, or whatever the
Or
language is.
Bartlett, whoever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do we want to take action on that? Do we need to vote and say, get quotes, and who's going to get them?
Sure, would you like to make a motion?
Motion to get quotes on removing just the branches over the trail.
Second?
Any discussion? Are you okay with that, Em?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Let's see what the professionals say.
When
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
Fred back? I'm just thinking.
Fred's going to be back in a week. His,
He might be, he or Evan, I'm happy to make a phone call, but just to stand under there
Yeah.
with somebody, I don't have any particular expertise. I'm not trying to
No, I'm
shirk the responsibility.
I'll take the,
And then maybe Fred can work with you.
yeah.
I'd be glad to work on that, and I know Jason, so, yeah, I think it needs more than one person. Nobody wants that responsibility. And then see what the,
So we have voted, everybody's on board?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes,
okay.
aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain.
What do we have next?
Champlain North, Horseneck Creek update.
Horseneck Creek. So,
so I don't know why my agenda doesn't have this.
I don't know this. I have my agenda. I thought I copied what was on the website, but I'm not in sync either. But
Yeah.
we're doing our
Okay.
best here.
We are doing
Okay,
it.
well, as long as,
And all of this needs to be talked about, so.
So Horseneck Creek. So Mike, Fred, and I talked with Tim on Friday about Horseneck Creek. And we talked about kind of unclear lines of responsibility between the upland and the construction of a dock. And Tim is looking into that, and he's going to consult with harbor management when Fred returns. Fred had to go to Switzerland because his mother's last surviving sibling passed away in Zurich, so he went to Zurich to the memorial service.
Oh, wow.
yeah, nice.
And when he comes back, he's going to look into that. We also talked about putting a fence around, and that is unclear about how long and exactly where that fence is going to go, but
Fence around what? The trail?
mostly to keep people off the marsh is the primary reason for that. And there's some back and forth between Tim and Mike about, do we need a fence where there's a lot of bramble and people can't get through the bramble anyway. Tim is a big advocate for the fence. Tim has taken his particular interest in the fence for whatever reason, and he's interested in working something out to do that. So again, let Mike and Fred do that. Amanda has also raised the issue of possible incursion into the right-of-way with the parking area, which was also presented to us by Richard Gates when he did the survey.
Incursion into, can you say that again?
Just say
Into the right-of-way?
the right-of-way.
Okay.
The parking area extends somewhat into the right-of-way.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? I just want to pass out a copy of the survey, which was commissioned by
That's I don't see that. Do you have
three
that?
groups. And so that you can see, this is an A2 survey, which marks boundaries, shows rights of way and everything else. The map that was presented at the zoning board does not. That's a water survey. the land
Yeah.
survey.
May I continue?
Yes, I just wanted, so that way everybody could see what they're talking about.
So, we did tell Tim that we do have this map, and the map that Harbor Management, basically the hydrological map that they created, doesn't have any weight on the upland portion of the property. It was not,
Dick didn't do that map.
I know he did it.
Okay, you said that Dick did, that's right. Oh,
Dick's map indicates that the parking area as presently construction, presently situated, extends somewhat into the right-of-way.
Yeah.
and have you been down there recently for the boulders and the signs and everything else?
We're aware of that.
Okay, so those
That
are
was-
in the,
So Tim, there's two maps. There's the map that tests the water levels in the creek, and it's primarily ways to find out how navigable the creek is. And we have the map that's done by Dick Gates, which
Yep.
should guide anything.
Which is
done
this
on the
one,
upland.
right.
And Tim is aware of that, and we're going to use Mr. Gates' map for what we do on the upland portion of the property.
Yeah.
I wanted to find out exactly what the various parties' rights and obligations were regarding the right-of-way. What is incumbent on the town? How do we make sure that we don't cause undue issues for the neighboring property owners? And I contacted Rich Cody and said, would you be willing to advise me on this? He said and I asked him, I said, would you consider that you may have a conflict of interest given that you work professionally with Amanda on that? Next thing I knew, I got an email from Jack Collins who said, Rich talked to me, I talked to Tim, I talked to Ed Cassell. Ed Cassell is going to represent you in this. So I was kind of painted into a corner, but I talked to Ed, and I told Ed, listen, I made arrangements with him to get a copy of Dick Gates' map, and I asked him, so can you give me a legal opinion about what the town's rights and obligations are regarding the abutting property owner, regarding the use of the right-of-way and so forth, and he said he would give me a legal opinion on that. So that will kind of basically drive what we do in the future. So we're doing everything according to Hoyle, so to speak.
Yeah.
Too bad he didn't give you a choice on who to use.
Pardon?
I said, too bad he didn't give you a choice on which attorney to use.
You know, I have to tell you, Amanda, I did not like the way that it was handled. I wrote to Rich Cody, and the next thing I know,
Well, he didn't have a choice, yeah.
Rich Cassell
Ed
is,
Casella is a prominent,
Cassell?
he's a prominent land use attorney over in Old Saybrook. He's pleaded a lot of cases before Gateway. He is the attorney that advises the planning commission in town. So he's also in the town, also hired for the town.
I see.
You know,
No.
Do you think it's a bad fit because?
No.
Oh,
Just say that, yeah.
it's freedom of choice. It's the town attorney would prefer not to, and other commissions can choose their own attorney. And it's just, I think,
I told
it'd be
them-
nice if we had the same option.
It was conveyed to Ed and talked in my conversation with that he's representing us on this issue, issue and this issue only. And
I think it makes it easier for South Mission Bureau and others. No, I think it's a good idea.
well, it would have been nice for Rich to say, yeah, hey, I agree with you, or talk to me about it, and you might want to talk to X, Y, and Z rather than have the Collins, the managing partner, rather than have somebody make a call to another attorney.
All policy, yeah.
And talk to Tim before talking to me.
Be nice to have a choice. But anyway,
Anyway,
so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
So I'm trying to do as best I can in terms of,
No, I appreciate everything that you're doing. And I was going to say I have some extra extra copies for Fred, and I don't know if,
That would be great for them to have that. Okay, moving on. Ames North. So, we each have a copy of the new map that Lisa did for us, which outlines the Ames parcel and Noyes parcel. However,
yeah, I have a question on this.
pardon, Lisa Nicolai, Niccolai. She was a former steward, and she does maps for both us and the Land Trust.
Okay.
So she went by basically what was on the town GIS system, and as I mentioned in an email to you and Evan, the town shows Sheep Ledge as being within Noyes, and I have documentation that was the point of contention between Open Space and Land Trust when Diana bought the Sheep Ledge
Did you
portion.
pull out the Ames survey maps in that file I gave you?
I don't know, no.
Okay,
Well, my question is, if Sheep's Ledge was where the Nahanic tribe spent the winter or parts of the year, and that's where Ned Pfeiffer excavated a lot of material, and took it somewhere. I don't know whether he went back to Wesleyan or where the material that he took out is, or maybe it's in his house. I don't know. But that was a real bone of contention between Ned Pfeiffer and Steve Ames.
I did look through the Ames files in detail, and Sheep's Ledge is prominently mentioned all throughout correspondence regarding the Land Trust applying for a state grant to buy that section of property from Ames, and then an agreement worked out between the Land Trust and Open Space and Diana's correspondence, and all references Sheep's Ledge Ames. Nowhere does it say Sheep's Ledge and Noyes.
and do you remember when Chris Clayton used to attend our meetings?
Mm-hmm.
And that was that whole thing. They wanted that.
Oh, yeah.
And that
And they
was
were
why
all-
they split with us.
They were
So,
pissed off.
I can't believe
Is this approximately what Noyes is, and Sheep's Ledge is mislabeled on the map?
Yes.
Or is this whole parcel that's outlined here not correct at all?
Well, I think you need to pull the Ames file, and all those surveys are in there, because I remember when we were having those discussions to purchase that, it was on the piece of Ames that Diana purchased, and it's shown because Chris and Diana kept pointing on the map where it is. That's why, I can't, you have to look here. The other question I have is on the title, because we have it identified as the Ames open space on one side, and we have it as Deborah and Edward Ames on the other.
I had her go ahead with that, basically pursuant to a discussion with Evan, where you told me that Steve did not like the Ames family open space.
Right, because...
Yeah. Our things say both Deborah and Edward Ames, which is his preferred title.
Yes.
And Ames family, which he doesn't match. And I was rather than have this done multiple times, it's going to have to be done again so we can revisit that. But we should probably as we did with Noyes, formally name the whole thing whatever Ames prefers.
Could we get a
when
letter
decide.
from Stephen that says,
I think
I asked Evan
a lot of discussion about
what does he want to call it, Steve?
Remember you presenting that he wanted his parents' name?
but I'd just rather have it something in writing to document. So if we change
I don't think anybody's going to, if we call it the Deborah and Edward Ames, I don't think there's anybody who's going to say, wait a minute, that shouldn't be it should be the Ames, family open, but no, I mean.
People were still
who the
just
hell-
refer to it as Ames.
Who the hell in town cares except for Steve Ames?
Exactly.
I know, but
And
the way he is, I don't want to come back.
By that is that
If we do this, if it's a Deborah Ames, we're not going to hear from Steve.
what I was going to say also is.
I'm writing that in my diary.
Okay. You write it in black and white.
Why? Because when he comes
You have
back,
your formal name, and then we have the names that you call it. We call it Ames. We're calling it. We talked multiple times today about McCulloch. Nobody said McCulloch Family Open Space.
Yeah.
And you know, so if it's still going to be the Ames Open Space, the Noise Open Space, we're not going to do the whole names, but.
Right.
are you going to change the sign on the, on Whippoorwill?
On the what one?
On Whippoorwill, it says Ames Family Open Space.
I don't know.
Okay, well, no.
It's a good point. I mean,
I,
I think that the key point is, what the hell is the noise property boundary? I actually asked John, I said, John, do you have any idea where Sheep's Ledge is? And he says, I don't know if it's on my family's property or not. He didn't know.
well, can you pull that Ames file and
I will
I'll
look-
come over and
I'll
look
look
at the
at it.
survey? Yeah.
I thought Sheep's Ledge from this
I thought it was over where we did the beavers.
was
and-
closer to
Yeah.
the caves
Yeah,
and
I thought that's what Sheep's Ledge was. the
I
cave.
thought so too, that's
Yeah.
why.
That's what Nettie Pfeiffer took out all this, you know,
Guilford.
who put in Sheep's Ledge in that?
archaeological material.
Yeah, right. I mean, if Steve was upset about Mr. Pfeiffer taking materials out of there, he must have thought it was being taken from his property, not the noise.
Yeah, it
absolutely.
was.
He knew
It
He thought it
was.
was taken from his property.
So I'm curious, where did the assessor get the Sheep's Ledge information to put it over on noise?
I have no idea.
Well, that's
And
where
we actually have, to further complicate matters, we actually have a discrepancy on
I know.
on size. There's like 0.19 acres between what this is identified on the GIS and what the deed giving it selling it to the town was.
But that's minuscule, and that's a Hendrick survey.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, well.
I think what you gotta do, to be honest with you, is pull out the Ames and look at the survey, and it will tell you who your abutters are. If you abut up to noise, then there's no discrepancy. So, our GIS is off.
And how do you, so you have the survey, how do you match the survey to what's on the town system here?
Well, I'd start,
Do we give it to Lisa and have her do a map, or what do we do when we have, how do we go from here to this?
okay, so if you pull the Ames file that I gave you, there's surveys in there. So let's start with there. And then Stephen has done several subdivisions, and if we can't find the answer there, there's enough surveys on that land that I can go into the land records and compare it and look. And an A2 survey has to document things like Sheep's Landing, the caves, and stuff like that. So that's why the survey is the ruling document. So, and then we could write an email if there's corrections that need to be made to the assessor and to Lisa saying, here's the survey, and we can PDF it to them.
How old is that? Well, so there's the question. How old is the survey? Was it ever digitized?
So they're in the land records, but Vicki has them all on computer so she can PDF them to people. But first,
They are digital.
right, so, but first we got to find the right surveys because there's numerous surveys. So you'd have to go through, but I think the
I
one,
will look through the file.
yeah, and if you want to hand it to me, I'll come over and look at the survey too.
All of this is a long story short, in that we're not ready to, I guess we could probably do the noise sign if we were going to do it on the roadway,
Yeah.
and then we
On-
figure out the map after.
Yeah, I will.
And it would be placed on Boggy Hole anyway, right?
Yeah. Would you think that's
I would
appropriate?
think that would be an appropriate. John said something about, well, we can't put a trail from Boggy Hole Road because it's all swamp. So, but it's just an acknowledgement with the proper name and acknowledgement to the Noyes family that we, the town, appreciate.
And I think it's a nice location too, because if you look at the write-up that he has on there and so forth, he mentions the old boggy hole.
Yeah.
Back, this, his ancestor, first minister, was given the land, so.
Right.
When we heard that one of our house.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, are you going to put a sign up there that says no public access? Do you want people going through Boggy Hole? I mean, on the property?
I think it's going to be pretty self-evident that you don't want to, I mean, you'll be wading up to your waist in mud.
Evan, I thought so too, but there are a lot of things that are not self-evident to certain people, so that's why.
Maybe the way to do it is to put the sign there and just say, entrance around the corner, whatever.
Entrance on Evergreen
Whatever
Trail.
appropriate language would be. So that actually kind of segued into the discussion on signs. So all of the stewards most of the stewards that Mike and I interviewed are more than willing to put in signs. They're ready to go. I like to have a list of A, B, C, D for them to get to. And when we hire someone, near the top of the list is going to be putting in these signs, with one exception in that apparently Public Works put in the signs at Horseneck Creek, and if Public Works is going to do that for them, perhaps they can do the sign for us. So we can I can talk to Mr. Adante and Mr. Griswold about that. But all the stewards seem more than amenable to be doing that kind of work. We explained that might be one of the responsibilities, and nobody had a problem with that. So the issue, I guess, is to come up with a list of exactly what we need for signs. I would say for you, Ann, for the kiosk, is we need to just have an exact location. Where is it going to be? And
I can flag it.
And we can take it out of Amanda's garage.
Well, here's a thought.
But
Okay,
the one last thing I wanted to mention is Amanda has also noted, and I think properly, that like Hawkins Road, a lot of our properties are not signed as open space.
Yeah.
And I think it would be worse to do a kind of a quick two-part thing, that maybe working with one of us, that our new steward can go out and take a look at the properties, such as the one on Button Ball that we just got, see what it looks like, check some of the other properties, see if they've been, people are dumping trash or putting sheds or anything on our property. Put up a sign, and it's not really conservation easement inspection, but just a quick.
Yeah.
If we're going to identify where we are, and we're going to look at, and we're going to put a sign up, just see what they look like.
Well, the other thing is, if they go out there, a couple things. They should have the survey.
Yes.
So they can identify the property, because one of the signs on Horseneck Creek is on Black Hall Club property.
You showed me that, yeah.
And it's also interfering with the right-of-way. And so that's identifying that property as a town property, which it's not. There's a sign at the street, which there should be. There's a sign on the property the town owns, but the town has no right to put a sign.
Let me ask you a question, Amanda.
I'm not an
I'm not
attorney.
being argumentative. Dick's survey didn't go down to where that sign by the pond is, did it?
Yeah, it
Did it go all the
shows.
way to the road?
Yeah, because it
Okay.
shows the right-of-way.
Goes to Button Ball Road.
Okay, yeah.
It shows that the town has a 40-foot right-of-way.
Well, it shows the 40-foot right-of-way, but how do you know where on the property this is? Did he put in posts or anything?
Yeah, it's marked.
Okay.
But the sign that Horseneck Creek is next to the no trespassing sign that Black Hall just put up. It's right in by the gravel pond.
I think that's part of, again, things really being done not according to this and basically on the fly, which we've talked about.
But I'm kind of hoping when we get to signs, we have a lot of properties. I documented them this winter for you. that are open space that are not marked. And I really hope that we would have some type of uniform sign for properties that we're not really accessing, but we're identifying.
Well, I was going to say, for places like Calkins and other properties that it's not really public access. It's open, it's owned as open space, but do we want to, does the sign need to say something like protected open space?
Yeah.
Or, somehow
We'll have to work
qualify
out the
it?
wording of the sign, but I agree we should label the signs as being open space property.
What about just using the little signs that we put on the trees as we did at Oak, or what's it called, something Oak, that we marked 2 years ago?
Right, but I think if you look at land trust and you look at just a sign that was like this by this, says open space, town of Old Lyme, open space emblem, the town. And that's why I was doesn't say access, doesn't say anything, but it's there. But then, and we have 17 properties that really we have no access to, but could be identified. So when you go up to the intersection of Mile Creek and Browns Lane, right before there, in between Matnick and Peck's, that's open space.
Yeah.
Nobody has it there. I'm just saying, and a lot of these were acquired from a subdivision, so we don't need to tell the history on them. And on Calkins, I'm not sure. I know you all want to put deep and all this stuff. I'm just not sure we don't have a uniform sign, and then we have a place on our website that says open space properties, and we could say these are not really accessible, but they were in
by open space,
right,
no
and then
access.
you could say on Calkins Road, this was, we acquired this from Deep. On the one on Mile Creek Road, this was acquired from the name of the subdivision, and it's all there. I think sometimes
I agree with you.
There's too much clutter.
We need to do that.
Make it more uniform, like when we all made our kiosks uniform. Peter Norris and I went around and had the same thing on every kiosk.
I fashioned the Calkins Road sign, particularly from a political point of view too, and that Deep worked with us very cooperatively about the manner by which we would contact the neighbors before pulling this up. And I've also been kind of trying to cultivate Allison Clark, who's the open space coordinator. And the more kudos we give Deep and the more we put Deep up there, it helps us in the long run.
It's like naming rights, Raymond James Stadium, Tropicana Stadium.
I understand.
You've got a website, you can tell the history of them, and unless it's like Bartholomew that was given to us, or Noyes was a bar, that's just my thought.
Yeah. The signs are something we need to get to, and I think we can install them, but I don't want to get into that too much. I want to kind of move along, because we do have a couple things that I need to talk about. Your point's taken. Thank you.
So if the idea is that we need a list, is that something that somebody could produce, or?
I have it. I did it all for Greg.
Yes.
Okay.
We have 17 properties that we've acquired that the town has listed, and Melinda has listed on the assessors, and there's no sign.
Okay. So all
Or no
of our
indication, not even a sign.
all of our other properties have signs?
Well, not Calkins Road, and then there was another piece in that same subdivision we talk about.
Yeah.
And when you
All
say
our properties do not
signs-
have signs. There's a new open space parcel in Button Mall we were just given, which certainly is not signed.
No.
No, but it'd be a perfect one for just open space,
Yep.
town of Old Lyme.
But do they have at least, not the newest one obviously, but, at least at Ferry Landing, there are the tree
Round
signs.
stickers.
Yeah.
I gave the stickers, I gave the metal things to Reagan, the builder. and asked him to put them up, because he was putting it. I haven't seen them yet,
Okay.
but, I mean, yeah, on Button Ball.
I think that's something we should take an affirmative action to do rather than,
Well, it'd be nice to have a sign.
it'd be nice to have another Stewart and some more people into that.
So the idea is that we'll,
That segues into what I want to talk about next. So,
the subdivision?
yes.
Yeah.
Are we going to executive session? Or are we, no,
Not
we're
yet.
just, not yet, okay.
We have still a number of things to talk about for our executive section, which is why I want to move along because it's 6:30. So, there's going to be a hearing on August 20th on 11 Button Ball Road, which is the property on the corner. And Bob Doan has suggested that like roughly a little bit less, roughly 4 acres of land be provided to homeowners associations as open space. And the reason he recommended that is they're going to put a drainage pond on that and have pipes running into that drainage pond. That property also has the roadway that was put in there and the gate. And given the fact that it has those 3 things, it's not going to really be a property anybody can hike. It would be my inclination that we recommend that the homeowners association have that and that be theirs.
Yeah.
And then we get money for it?
No.
We would not,
that-
because
it's not.
set aside, it would be open space set aside, and the homeowners association would have title to that. And that would be, my homeowners association has open space, and we're responsible for that. We pay insurance for it, and we, whatever.
I see.
However,
How many
Is
acres
it-
did you say it was of open space? This is the whole subdivision, isn't it?
wasn't it 2 point, was that 15%?
I think I'll send you the exact.
Okay.
Is that 15%?
I would think that would be
Yeah,
more than 15%.
Yeah.
Just because there's so much wetland.
It's
on
only
the back.
21.
Yeah, I can do a quick figure. I would suspect it would be.
In the application that you sent.
My thought is, in the past, and this goes to Kakowicki up on, off of Short Hills, that subdivision,
Oh.
Shady Oak,
Yeah.
is that the open space was to go to a homeowners association, and we had a conservation easement on that. According to the subdivision regulations, the homeowners association needs to be set up before the Mylars and everything gets filed. They never did that on that subdivision. 2 years later, they were compromising our open space, and we had to go in and protest and show it. And to this point, and I haven't checked it in the last couple of months, but that homeowners association was never set up. The land is still in the developer's name, and we have the conservation easement on it. So I would hold planning, and their attorney is Ed Casella, accountable to make sure that a homeowners association is established, filed with the Secretary of State, and there is a deed just like prior to any sales and prior to signing the Mylars. There should be a deed for open space, there should be a deed for the homeowners association.
What do you mean a deed for open space?
Well, on the Button Ball Road, a deed
Yeah,
from the
that-
developer
you're talking
to
two
the
different
town.
properties.
No, but for open space, it goes, that one was supposed to be a deed from the developer to the town for open space, and on this situation...
Yeah, you're talking two different...
Right, but I'm just saying, but any of that has to be done before the subdivision Mylars are filed. And I just hate to see this land still in the name of the developer and the open space never done, because open space has different regulations than lots, and people start encroaching. So that's my only thought on that.
There's another application that did not make the agenda because I just got it. Were either you involved in a subdivision on one Meeting Lane?
So, Meeting House Lane.
Meeting House Lane.
So where, I didn't have time to go look.
So essentially, Meeting House Lane was subdivided it was melded back into one lot, and now it's being re-subdivided again.
So this is the-
4 acres of land is being split into 2 parcels.
That's the Dangermond piece.
Correct. And I talked to Nat this morning, and he said that it makes sense, and it makes sense to me too, that when it was initially subdivided, whatever provision was made for open space back then be applied again on the re-subdivision. And he said, given that it's a small property, it would probably be a fee in lieu and whatever was done before be done again. That seemed reasonable to all.
Yeah.
Well, I think you have to look at the original subdivision.
I was just going to say, well,
Is
Yeah,
it the corner of Meeting House?
I'm trying to
and,
figure where
Johnny
on
Cake?
Meeting House it is.
It's the first, yeah.
You come up Meeting House,
Did you have a GIS on it?
There's
and
a-
you're making a bend
There's
onto,
a house on it, a rather large house.
it's across from the country club,
Yeah.
down the corner, near Kinney. Kinney,
Is it next to,
there's it's Kinney,
This is
it's right
the lot.
across from,
to, you know, the family that owns, well, hold on a second, let me,
so do we know what the original allocation was?
I don't.
Okay. And I just have a question
see,
about
where's the,
if the homeowners association
Yeah.
and the original,
takes
sale
ownership essentially of,
had an access
do we
point on
need the
it
conservation easement on it?
coming down.
Because the
So doesn't she have,
she's
you know,
driving with this oak.
grandmother, whoever it is, doesn't she have a place?
That's a good question.
This was Muffy?
Yeah,
Whitley?
yeah.
She had a 20-acre. We walked.
and there's a dirt road, a few doors down, that if you walk down, it will take you
This
through the
is, it was,
Dan,
this is owned by, it was owned by
Dan
the.
Towers, and the,
Yeah.
the road
Yeah.
to, that goes down to.
So is this the piece that they're splitting?
Yes.
But I thought that part of that was abandoned by the town,
A section of, it was,
of Ben Franklin.
of
was-
Ben
That's
Franklin.
Road, yeah.
Yeah, but not all of it. The piece on Mile Creek and then the piece up here is still open.
And Pam and Grant's the son, Pam and,
So is that, what's the size of this lot?
4 acres, roughly 4 acres.
It must be 2 acre zoning?
Yeah.
Alrighty. And then what was the original subdivision? Was it part of all of this?
I don't know. I don't have that. Just got it.
so it's presently it's 2 lots, but it's owned by one?
I think it's 1 lot now, and it's being re-subdivided.
Ah.
It was 1 split, merged, split again.
But it'd be interesting to see what the original subdivision, if they got open space in it. I don't think you can double dip.
And her ex-husband,
Well, again,
and they.
Yeah,
I caught Eric
She
in the
used to live
hallway.
there.
He believes there probably was a fee in lieu previously.
I think it was too, because I don't see any land around.
I didn't realize if it was only a 2-lot subdivision that we got anything at all. I thought it had to be more than 4.
If it's...
A
if it's
re-subdivision,
an additional, a re-subdivision.
re-sub.
And it's only 2 lots, it's still a subdivision.
You only allowed 1 free split. And then after that, they had a subdivision, and say they made 4 acre lots,
Right.
and it's R40. Technically, someone could come in and re-subdivide. So that's a re-subdivision. So,
You don't get around.
yeah, so that's why you'd have to look at the original subdivision map and the notes and see if it was a fee in lieu. Yeah,
I will try to get some more information on that. We get some money out of that, probably.
yeah, well, if you want me to research it,
Thank you.
and he probably has the file, so we
I-
can look at it, yeah.
I'm going to ask about it.
And would either of you know, I was just asking whether when we do get open space that we decide to have the homeowner association own, do we always take a conservation easement on it?
No,
Not always, no.
Okay.
but I would hopefully request that you put that in the, when you respond to them, is say, in the past, we've seen the failure to create a homeowners association, and that it be done according to the subdivision regulations in a timely manner, just to let them know we're on top of it. Just
Moving on to community outreach. So,
I was at the bench building workshop with the Old Lyme Land Trust, and this is one of the benches that they made, and it's not exactly a pit, but Edie has a plan. She cut the wood to the specifications. Ted Freeman cut the wood, and she bought all of the hardware, and there were maybe 10 or so of us, and in 1 hour we put together 3 benches. It was pretty self-explanatory, and I have to say that the women were the ones leading the construction. It was Edie and Lynn. I don't remember Lynn's last name, but she was Volunteer of the Year last year. Really competent, and anyway, they were just wonderful.
Was Ann Gallagher there?
No.
Oh.
For the 4 benches, it cost $300.
$300 for 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's willing. Huh?
What kind of wood is that? Pressure treated?
I think so.
It looks like it.
Do you have a problem with that, Heather?
And so Edie's sharing the plans with me, and a list of the materials. So we certainly could do it calling our own work party. We could do it in conjunction with the incoming community service club at the high school. There is a change in leadership, and you don't have 4 years of 11 seniors. So I can't predict, but it's not a very challenging project. And you could work in teams of 3 or 4, even 2 per bench. But what it brings to mind is, if we want this, which properties and where would first, and when would be the first point of discussion.
We have said that we were going to put an observation bench at Horseneck Creek, so that would be probably number 1 priority.
Okay.
I have another thought on benches.
That's if you want to do this project, but I think Mike had mentioned it also.
We've, in the past, bought individual benches from Jim Mildred. And so even though I don't think he's available to do it, he has a lot of the material for that, so that we have those unique benches.
Mm-hmm.
And the site where his old sawmill is on our property.
Mm-hmm.
And we probably, since he's no longer using it and no one else is allowed to use it, we have to do some cleanup there. So maybe we could rescue some of those and make them, and Wayne expressed an interest.
Benches a little later in executive session, but I wanted to, if I may interrupt you for a second, can all of us stay a few minutes late, because we have to really move along.
5 minutes.
Sure.
Okay.
So, we're going to have to drop the benches and move along. The one thing I do want to talk about, Andrea, is Midsummer.
Oh, I have that here.
You have that? Did I send you that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I guess I made everybody a copy. As far as Midsummer goes, we can set up on Friday if we want, or we can set up at 7:30 on Saturday. I prefer to do it Friday. Mm-hmm. Are you still waiting to get a text message from line?
I can ask, certainly. I know that after the Tour de Lyme, all the tents that were at Ashlawn Farm went back to, and I'll find out from, I've just joined the board of the Lyme Land Trust. So I will ask Christina, who I asked last year, and she said, fine, go get it. I know exactly where it is.
Yeah, that would be great.
So I'll do that, yeah.
Where did you get the tables and chairs, Amanda? Is it from the town, or?
I have 2 6-foot tables.
No, we had tables last year that were all uniform. Were they yours, or where did they come from?
I think
I
we
don't think I
borrowed
was here
them.
last year.
From the Art Association. No?
Did Art Association give them to us?
Didn't I give you a file folder on Midsummer?
I have so much, Amanda, I haven't looked through.
Okay, because I think it's detailed where they all came from. I think,
Amanda has 2. I have a portable table of sorts.
I thought we got them from down here.
I thought we got them from the town, too.
So that's, I'm drawing a blank because we had tables and I would ask Michelle Hayes and see what she is, because I think, for some reason, I'm trying to think, it was either, I think Gary Gregory and I got him from here, put him in his car. We met you there Friday night,
Yeah.
and I think you were there, and we did all the setup. I think it went like
The
that.
tables up on Friday?
Yeah, we were able to set everything up, but the weather was good, and the weather does not look so good for this Friday and Saturday.
Well, it'd be nice to just get the tent and the tables and chairs
And we-
under the tent. Yeah. You know, we're worried about the paper material and everything the next day.
We did, we kept it in Gary's, the signs and all that stuff, and then set that up Saturday, the easels, all that stuff.
Yeah, I think it was the signs and stuff were in Gary's van.
Yeah, in his van, because we did the tables and chairs and the canopy,
Yeah.
all there, and then we set it up, and then everything stayed dry in his, so that way it's all over there, so we could set it up.
So I don't know what other signs we have, but, because we're not going to have Claudio's insects this year.
We're not going to have what?
Claudio had the insect.
Oh,
Yeah.
And we'll have one poster board and a trifold poster board for Ferry Landing. And I can get that to somebody, but I teach yoga from 10 to 11 on Saturday mornings. So, I guess theoretically I could drop it off the morning on my way to teach. But Nick is going to get there at 8:30. He's what time does the thing start? 9?
9 to 4.
So he's going to get there at 8:30 on Saturday, and he'll be able to help.
Will he be there the whole day?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Last year it got super hot, and I sent them home.
I think it's going to be hot this year, too.
Towards the end of the
So
day.
unfortunately, I have a couple of things to deal with. Number one is my wife's going to be across the street, and I have to kind of help her get set up at 8:30 or so. But I'll be around at the end of the day to break down. I can work Friday. I'm hoping I'm going to be in good shape because I'm having 4 wisdom teeth pulled tomorrow. I'm not looking forward to that. And it says you really should basically give yourself 4 or 5 days before you do anything strenuous after that. So
There's not much to set up. I could haul these tables by myself
and the other
whip
thing
them up.
is I think we've had some great exhibits. Last year next to us, the Land Trust really didn't have much. If we have your stuff and I'm getting 250 copies of our new hiking brochure reprinted, we can pass those out. I think we'll have enough material to I don't think we need 3 tables. Maybe 1 table can do it.
I don't know. Are you going to put up? That sign was always...
It'd be nice to have.
Yes, that's always good, because people always say, I was over here.
Yeah.
And it's always nice to have a dog bowl with water, because people stop.
Yeah,
And
I
there
can
is
make
a dog
arrangements
show
to
at
take that
10.
out.
I can help any time during the day except from 10 to 11ish because of the dog show.
It's one of the issues, unfortunately, is that we're down people, and it looks like neither Mike or Fred will be available. Fred won't be here, and I doubt Mike is going to want to be doing it. How's
He feeling
I'll be
with it?
around, as far as I know.
Pardon?
How's Mike feeling?
He said that he and Denise have mild symptoms, just like a bad cold. So
And what day are they into it at this point?
I think they just got tested.
Oh.
So it's what, 5 days after that?
I don't know what.
So who's going to be there? Can we get precise on time and what needs to be
Yeah,
done?
Yeah, so do we all want to, like, volunteer for times now?
Sure.
Like,
My only time is from
to one of you-
10 to 11.
To kind of do a timesheet?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to write down who says they're
Okay.
doing what, because I'm taking minutes anyway. So.
I can be there, fairly early, so 9.
Let's start with Friday. So Friday, who's setting up?
I can help set up Friday.
Okay.
I have a truck.
Yeah, that has to be, I'll help set up, but it has to be, I've got a dinner at 6, so
So I think it says anytime after 4.
I think, I think last time we set up like 4 or something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
So 4:30 Friday, I could bring
Yeah,
let me know if you need a table.
Right.
2 6-foot tables, one
I'll
folds
go
up.
up to Lyme and get the tent.
I'll talk to Michelle tomorrow about tables, and if she doesn't have a table, then...
You can-
And I have 2
Yeah.
folding chairs and stools, but a folding chair.
I guess the sheet is, I passed the sheet out to everybody in there. You got a good memory, Amanda.
I'll bring a dog bowl.
We can set up at 4 o'clock, and then,
Biscuits.
our session closes on Friday, so...
Okay.
I'll bring dog bowl and biscuits.
And water, water, because
I mean, just like water for people, not dogs.
well, in the past, I have brought water with cups because people come, our members come and are dying for thirst, and so I got some water in my,
Right.
so I'm just saying, if you bring.
I can do a 2 to 4 shift, Dan.
On Saturday?
Yes.
Okay.
Friday,
Well,
I can help on
but
Friday.
you- I'm sorry, can we just finish Friday for 1 minute? If we're bringing water, how is it getting there? What form is it, and do we need cups?
That's for Saturday.
Okay, well, all right, but somebody might have to purchase it or whatever.
Well, just a couple, I'm not here, so I would.
You're not here, okay.
I have thermos of water.
Yeah, just,
Okay.
it's just that it gets hot, and if you don't have a water bottle, some.
I'm just writing down who's bringing stuff.
Yes, I'll bring water jugs and cups.
Okay,
And a water
I'll bring a jug of water.
okay.
Yeah,
You're
just-
going to run in the
I
morning?
have a dog bowl.
Okay, good, so yeah,
Dog bowl and
just,
biscuits.
okay.
Yep.
You're gonna
Okay,
run
you're
in the
gonna be
morning?
popular.
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay, so Saturday, we've got Greg is 2 to 4.
I'll be there. I can be there in the morning too for an hour because I got to help my wife set up. I'll just go come across the street.
Nick is 8:30 to...
Parking is going to be really tight there this year, as I said on there, because they're working on the skylight and they're going to have construction stuff, and so it'll even be tighter parking than in the past.
I parked at Bowerbird and walked.
Yeah.
Usually you have one spot that they allow, so who's ever unloading everything, and if you're gonna be doing that in the morning, you might want the one spot so you can run up the hill with everything.
They have one spot, but they're not guaranteeing a one spot.
Get there early.
Can I find out who on the commission is going to be there at, either 8:30 or 9?
I can be there by
Okay.
8:30 or
So then what I'll do is I'll make sure that you have these materials, or I guess, like I said, I can drop them off on the way. So I'll be there like as close to between 8:30 and 9 myself. But then I'm going to disappear and come back, so.
You can always pull into the back and,
I think,
Right.
yeah, we
Yeah.
I can be
and-
there
and you-
8:30 to 10,
Okay.
and then I'll be back.
And we don't know...
And then afternoon, I'm doing the dog show thing. But these will be with,
So you're
Citizens
just
dinner
8:30 to 10?
Or are you going to
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrea?
huh?
You're just 8:30 to 10?
No, I can come back and, I'm done at like noon, so
Okay.
I'm open for the,
So like 1 to 4, or 1 to 3 or something?
yeah.
Okay. And then I can come back from like noon or...
So we
possibly
basically, I think,
earlier, too.
are we missing in the late morning? Or are we
Um,
all set up, like from 10:30 to noon?
Evan, what,
I was going to do 8:30 to 11, but
8:30 to 11? Okay. Yeah, it looks like maybe the 11 to 12 hour might be skimpy. If anybody can do that. I finished teaching at 11, so there's, I can't get
try to be
there.
there. I can try to be there. If worse comes to worse, we'll have Nick there.
Okay.
Well, there are a lot of times the land trust, nobody was in that booth.
Okay. All right.
So it's an hour that we may not have coverage, or it would be single coverage. If you're there to 11, I'm there.
well, I may be able to stay a little longer. I don't have a calendar with me, so I
Okay.
don't know what I'm.
Yeah, I just have to get home and change and then get there.
Yeah.
And given the parking, that
Yeah.
will probably take close to an hour.
Yeah.
Let's exchange some emails to coordinate things. I really want to talk about a couple things
Sure.
before we all leave. So,
All right.
let's
Motion to-
go, motion, I move to go into executive
I
session.
second it.
So we can shut this off.
All right. Goodbye, nobody.